Hi, my name is Florian Müller and I'd like to welcome you to my talk at this very special CHI 2020. Despite the difficult circumstances, I'm glad that you're here, and for the next 15 minutes or so, I'd like to give you a brief summary of this work that I conducted with my co-authors Martin Schmitz, Daniel Schmitt, Sebastian Günther, Markus and Max Mühlhäuser. In this talk, we're going to have a look at how we can interact with information on the go, and for that, let's start by looking at how we do that today. While walking through the city, we see again and again people who stare at their smartphones like zombies. That makes us realize that there seems to be a strong need for constant access to and interaction with information, anywhere and anytime. And not only are people interacting with and staring at their phones when they are standing and waiting somewhere, but also while they walk around. However, just as distracted driving leads to dangerous situations for the driver and others, distracted walking also causes people to endanger themselves and others. As a possible solution, head-mounted displays might help us to overcome these problems, as they allow us to keep the visual connection to the real world while interacting with digital information. However, today's interaction techniques for head-mounted displays are not tailored to the specific requirements of interaction while walking. For example, gesture-based interaction techniques, as used, for example, with the Microsoft HoloLens, as you can see here, are quite nice because there is no secondary device that could be misplaced or lost. However, these interaction techniques require the user's hands to be free for the interaction, while especially during mobile situations, the user's hands might be busy carrying things or interacting with the real world in other ways. Further, this style of interaction is not very expressive and thus limits the amount of information that can be communicated from the user to the device in one interaction step. As another possible approach, voice-based interfaces allow for easy and fast interactions while walking. However, voice-based interfaces have privacy implications in public settings and do not work very well in noisy environments such as crowded places or busy streets. Looking at the related works, we see that research proposed novel interaction techniques for interacting with head-mounted displays in multiple areas. First, there are mid-air gestures, where one or both hands of the user provide input to the system through gestures in front of the body. Here, just as one example, some work by Colasso et al., who presented a sensing device to capture more fine-grained gestures. Second, there is on-body interaction, where parts of the user's body, often the palm or forearm of the user, act as an interactive, touch-enabled surface, providing input and output on the surface of our body, as you can see here in example by Chris Harrison et al. Third, there are head or gaze-based interaction techniques where the eye gaze or head pointing is used to interact with information, as you can see here in example by Günther et al. However, despite their usefulness, these interaction techniques are not tailored to the specific requirements of interaction while walking. Mid-air gestures as well as on-body interfaces require the user's hands to be free for the interaction and therefore cannot support a wide range of situations where the user's hands are busy. Head or gaze-based interaction techniques require the user to shift their gaze away from the walking path, thereby leading to dangerous situations. Therefore, in this work, we explicitly focused on how we can interact with information using head-mounted displays while walking. For this, we consider a system that displays multiple lanes parallel to the walking path of the user. Each lane represents an option the user can select. If the user continues straight ahead, no option is selected and therefore no reaction by the system is triggered. If the user, however, wants to interact with the system, they can shift their walking path sideways until they walk on the desired option lane. And this change can be done without a need to change the walking speed, just as you would change your walking path when avoiding an obstacle on the sidewalk. The system highlights the lane the user is currently walking on, and this highlighting is applied to the entire lane. This allows the user to interact with the system without looking down to the floor, as the current state of the system is also visible while looking straight ahead in the peripheral view. By walking on a lane for a certain time, the user can select one of the option lanes. This works just as the concept of selection by dwell time in eye gaze-based interaction. In this paper, we analyzed this concept in a controlled experiment and, based on the results, provide use cases and example applications. Further, we contribute a prototype implementation for the Microsoft HoloLens that implements this style of interaction. Okay, let's have a look at the controlled experiment. In the experiment, we investigated the influence of two factors on the accuracy and efficiency of such interfaces. First, we investigated the influence of the width of the lanes. For this, we varied the number of lanes on a 1 meter wide interaction area, where the lanes always filled up the complete available space. The experiment varied the number of lanes on this 1 meter width as 8, 12, and 16, each plus one non-active lane in the middle, resulting in lanes that were between 6 and 11 centimeters in size. Beyond the width of the lanes, the experiment also varied the time needed to walk on a lane to select it as 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3 of a second. At an average walking speed of around 1.5 meters per second, this results in 0.5 meter to 1.5 meters of walking distance required to select a lane. For the experiment, we varied these two independent variables, the number of lanes and the selection time, in a within subjects design with 18 participants. We measured the task completion time as well as the accuracy of participants and used questionnaires for further data collection. Finally, we analyzed the data mainly using two-way repeated measures, ANOVAs. As we did not want to rely on the at times unstable and inaccurate tracking of current generation head-mounted displays, we opted against conducting the experiment with real devices. Instead, we used two projectors for visual output and tracked the participants using an HTC Vive tracking system. In the experiment, the system projected the lanes to the floor in front of the user, as you can see in this video. The participant's task was to shift their path to the highlighted target lane, as you can see here in green. Now you can see it. And after reaching the target lane, stay within the bounds of the target lane for the respective selection time of the condition. Okay, so let's have a short look at the results, and as I don't want to throw too many numbers at you in this talk, I'm going to focus only on the accuracy. If you're interested, there are many more results and many more numbers in the paper. Okay, so a two-way repeated measures ANOVA showed significant influences of the number of lanes on the accuracy of participants. Post-hoc tests confirmed significantly higher accuracy rates for the 8 and 12 lane conditions compared to the 16 lane conditions. Further, the analysis also revealed a significant influence of the selection time on the accuracy of participants. Here, post-hoc tests showed significantly lower accuracy rates for the 1/3 of a second conditions compared to both the 2/3 and 3/3 of a second conditions. While the results for the number of lanes are not really surprising, that smaller lanes resulted in reduced accuracy rates as it was harder for participants to stay within the bounds of the lane, the results for the selection time, I guess, are more surprising. It is the 2/3 of a second condition that showed the highest accuracy rates. Too short selection times resulted in participants accidentally selecting intermediate lanes while crossing them on their way to the target. On the other hand, too long selection times made it harder for participants to stay within the bounds of the lane, thereby increasing the chance for accidentally leaving the lane within the selection time. This effect becomes even more pronounced the thinner the lanes become, as you can see, with a dropping of the accuracy rates at the 16 lanes condition, with 3/3 of a second. We attribute this effect to the fact that our head step moves a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right with every step we make, even further increasing the chance of accidentally leaving the lane within the selection time with every step you force the participant to make. Based on this concept and based on the results of our controlled experiment, we built 3 example applications. First, Assistant allows users to explore nearby services such as coffee shops or hotels or restaurants right while walking through the city. Second, Camera allows users to take pictures, apply filters, and share the results to social media platforms. Third, Music Walker allows users to walk through their playlist and select songs by leaving the lane. Further, users can continuously change the volume by walking on the respective lane for a certain amount of time. To sum up, Walk the Line provides a truly mobile input modality for interaction on the go while walking. The results of the controlled experiment confirmed that Walk the Line provides accurate and fast interactions. And further, the qualitative feedback from our participants showed that the concept provides a joyful way for casual interactions. And with this, I'd like to close this talk. Due to the current situation, I unfortunately cannot answer your questions right here or tonight at the bar. Instead, I'd like to ask you to drop me an email. And one last thing. There are many more great Team Darmstadt papers. Go and check them out right now. And with that, I'd like to say goodbye and thank you for your attention. Stay safe and healthy and see you next year in Yokohama. Bye.